Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to COD Zombies HQ. I wanted to make this video sooner, but wanted to put the time into it to give you guys the best perspective possible on the possibility of remastered maps coming into Black Ops 3, using reported evidence from other YouTubers that have been found recently, as well as looking back into the past like several months ago at news stories we reported back then of old remastered map files being put into Black Ops 3, what they could be possibly used for, and what this means for the future of the game. Now, there's both good news and bad news about the possibility of remastered maps coming to Black Ops 3 in the future. I do want to present both sides of the story here, give you guys a good perspective on both of them, and then you can decide for yourself whose side you find more compelling. Before we get into the meat of this video, I'd appreciate the heck of it if you could smash that thumbs up button down below. Let's see if we can get to 1,500 thumbs up on this video. So this story ostensibly starts several months ago, prior to the release of DLC 4 Revelations, when on August the 19th, 2016, we got this post by Spence Cool on the COD Zombies subreddit with the title, "Possible Black Ops 1 or 2 map textures or meshes within the 1.15 update found on PC in Black Ops 3. There were 3 specific files that he outlined in this post. The first is a file for Kino, Chair, Theater, Vintage. Obviously, we know that this file turned out to be the texture for the chairs inside the theater room of Revelations. This is an example of a bit of code found in the game prior to the release of the map pack that turned out to be in the final product. That also extends to the second bit of code, Origins, barbed wire, set, etc. This also turned out to be a texture that was used inside the Origins portion of Revelations. But there was one other texture that we didn't really have any explanation of and still don't, and that's the code Ascension, Wires, Bunker, etc. The code has the signifier for Ascension, ASC, from Black Ops 1, and obviously the texture is of some kind of wires from a bunker. Now, back when we reported this story back in August, we kind of went back into Ascension, looked at what this could be, didn't really find anything specific, but said it probably related to the first possible position where the mystery box could spawn on Ascension. That could probably be considered the bunker complex, or it's where the fuselage is located in Ascension, one of those two areas. Looking back on this, it's quite curious that of these 3 lines of code, we know that 2 were used in Revelations, but 1 obviously was not. And that roughly takes us to where we are today. DLC 4 released and long gone, but because of comments made by Jason Blundell and Activision's CFO regarding future support for Black Ops 3 and new content for Black Ops 3 in 2017, obviously the community, and including myself to be honest, is excited that something more will come to Black Ops 3 Zombies. But the question I was asking in a video I produced earlier this week was, what will this content be? In a poll I released on Twitter asking this question, where 975 of you responded, 17% that the content we'll get will not be zombies related and multiplayer only, 13% said it'll be a new feature like Newton's Cookbook, 14% said it'll be a new game mode, and an overwhelming majority, 56% of you, said that we'll be getting a new zombies map in a form of a totally new map or remasters. Obviously, a lot of you watching and a lot of respondents to this poll are very excited that we're going to be getting not just a new feature or a game mode or something like that, but something significant, a whole new map. So when MrDalekJD, another awesome zombies YouTuber, uploaded a video a few days ago claiming to show off possible new remastered texture files that were recently added into Black Ops 3, things got a whole lot more interesting. Here's what he presented in this video, beginning with Origins. There exists within the Black Ops 3 textures these pictures of schematics from the starting room of Origins. Now, as you can see on screen now, and I just took this as a screenshot from MrDalekJD's video, this is not the same image that appears in Black Ops 2's Origins. There are significant differences. A, the quality of the image itself, B, the folds, the cross fold within the image, and C, the actual rips at the corners of the image that don't appear in the original. Therefore, he concluded, and rightly so, that this is a new texture that was not directly ported from Black Ops 2. Therefore, he was saying because these textures don't appear in Revelations, they might just be for a remastered version of Origins that hasn't been released yet. But unfortunately for the remastered dream, these images do in fact appear in Revelations, hidden away in a dark corner near that first jump pad location, and all these images are on the wall in the exact versions that we find them in the file, all of them ripped and not creased with very high image quality. So unfortunately that kind of debunks these textures as associated with remastered files, at least ostensibly, because they actually do appear in Revelations. Speaking on when these texture files could have been added into the game, they could have been added in the latest patch and they just updated that area, but I feel like they've always been there. But that's not all, guys. There is a second texture file of a power meter that, at least from all my searching on Revelations, I wasn't able to find inside of the map. Perhaps this is a texture associated with past maps. If you do in fact find it, send a picture to me on Twitter, I'd love to know. But the point MrDalekJD made was it looks very similar to this power meter from Ascension in Black Ops 1. And while the two images aren't exactly the same, you can find the new image linked down in the description if you want to check it out. I'm not going to put it up on screen just in case it is part of some unreleased assets. It gets to some weird legality at that point. But we can conclude that the assets from Black Ops 1's Ascension and this one looks very similar, but they're not the same. I don't think we can conclude that the new asset is from some kind of Ascension remastered area. Again, it could just be leftover assets or unused assets from Revelations, but while the two do look very similar to one another in terms of the new texture in Black Ops 1, because they're not very similar, right? There are significant differences. I'm not sure we can say that they're the same. So to summarize where we're at right now, it appears like the images we had pointing to an Origin Remastered aren't actually pointing to that and are on Revelations, but we do have unexplained and unused lines of code within Black Ops 3 referring to specific assets from Ascension that have been found as far back as August of 2016. And if you do believe that these lines of code referring to Ascension are pointing to something to be released in the future, know that that has happened before. Not only kind of broadly with the example I gave earlier in this video, but there are two other specific examples that I covered at the time that I want you guys to remember. By taking a look at the game's memory where a few of these assets were found, back on August 8th in 2016, over a month before Revelations would be released, because of files within Black Ops 3's memory, we knew that Margwas would be in DLC 4, we knew that Child Takia would be somehow a part of DLC 4, and we also knew that the Apothecant Servant would be able to be upgraded a whole month before Revelations was released. So there is precedent for items within the code right now that aren't in-game right now to be released in their full versions later. I do have to say though, I've always been skeptical that when they say that we're getting new content in 2017, I've always been hesitant to think that it's going to be a new zombies map, and I always thought that it'd probably most likely be a new feature like Newton's Cookbook. But there's been a lot of chatter behind the scenes that are generally seen as pretty credible here that have kind of increased my confidence level that there might be something bigger in the works here. But I do think that if something is announced, it won't be for the next few months and will probably be in the early or midst of summer, I would guess. I think everybody agrees that if DLC 5 were to be released, it'd be a huge boost to the zombies community, hopefully bringing it back to the excitement and general hype that was created prior to the release of DLC 4 Revelations and in general throughout Black Ops 3's DLC season. But we also have to consider it from Activision's perspective, mainly how can they guarantee that the product that they'll release, aka a DLC 5, will make a profit? And furthermore, should they include more multiplayer content that is exclusive to that map pack in order to extend that product's appeal? If they're just adding a feature into the game, which is what I think was most probable a few weeks ago, the microtransaction feature is probably the easiest way for Activision to make money. They made literally billions of dollars last year from microtransactions in Black Ops 3. I wouldn't see why they wouldn't just implement a feature with microtransactions here in the future in order to make back their money and make a profit. But if they're actually releasing DLC maps, then obviously the only real way to charge for that is through some kind of map pack. And if that map pack is exclusively zombies content, it will be the very first zombies only map pack since DLC 4 from Black Ops 1 called Resurrection. Remember, the content we discussed in this video doesn't confirm the existence of remaster maps coming to Black Ops 3. What it does do is kind of narrow down some of the evidence we've seen, and ultimately we can state that Activision and Blundell has said that new content is coming to Black Ops 3. It's just a matter of time before we find out what exactly they mean. I'll leave all the links to the sources I used in this video down in the description like always. If you want to check them out, feel free to do so. Remember to thumbs up the video if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more great zombies content to come, and I'll see you with another zombies news video tomorrow.